Dahiru Goga is a low-resource farmer in a village in Kano. He is an all-season farmer who for years struggled to get fertilizer for his agriculture. This year was different. The new federal system of fertilizer distribution, Ewallet, guaranteed that he needed not to suffer this time for fertilizer. As a rice farmer, all he needed was a registration with his farmer group. The group did the registration for members to be beneficiaries of the new system. In this room, various farmer groups with the list of their members who are captured in the Ewallet program show their registration cards, evidence of payment and alert, and are at once given their fertilizer. For his dry season farming, Goga got 2 bags of fertilizer. He faced 2,750 naira per each. There is also a 30 kilogram of seedling for him at no cost. Naturally, he was happy.
We are grateful for what the federal government is doing. Our prayer is continued support for low-income farmers.
It must be said, however, Dahiru Goga has some complaints. Guaranteed, the fertilizer was procured with a 50% subsidy, but he needs more than 2 bags, but 2 bags he got. Secondly, he got the fertilizer for dry season late in March, when the rain clouds are already discharging in many parts of the country.
There is subsidy, all right. Our daily complaint is timely delivery.
On this issue, the Director of Fertilizer, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, says federal budget is to provide for 2 bags of fertilizer only to any registered low-income farmer.
We have budget to supply, to give 2 bags at subsidy to farmers. The moment that the federal government can give us more budget to support 4 bags, so be it.
The director said the fertilizer supply through Ewallet does not capture middle and large-scale farmers.
Anybody that is in the medium-scale farm, that is in the large-scale farm, we expect them that they have that capacity to get to the banks, borrow money, and buy enough input to really cultivate their farmland.
With the rainy season already here, the federal government says it is targeting 10 million low-resource Nigerian farmers with the fertilizer through Ewallet. However, many of such farmers in Nasarawa State say they are still short of information on the Ewallet system and how to access it.
I've been waiting since, but I couldn't get the fertilizer. You see these mangoes, they need fertilizer, but we don't know where to go and get the fertilizer.
Okay, now there are systems which you can use a telephone, you register, or some part of maybe in Kefi here through which you can get the fertilizer. We thought they have talked to you about it.
They have talked nothing.
We are quite mindful that we are going to target the whole of the 36 states and FCT, and we are working assiduously to really get everything done right. Like you know, we are still doing we are about concluding on the registration of our farmers for this current year. That is, we are adding additional 5 million farmers to the database that we had last year.
For now, in states like Kano State, there is acknowledgement that the Ewallet works during the dry season farming. It needs to do so also during the rainy season. In Abuja, Mohammed Hamis Rogo, NTA News.
Thank you, Hamis Rogo. Now to other parts of the country. Illiteracy and registration of farmers in the rural areas are major challenges to the implementation of the Ewallet fertilizer distribution program in the South-South zone. Karina Igonikon reports that although it has helped in reducing the issue of middlemen in the distribution process, they ostensibly need more sensitization so that rural farmers would embrace the scheme.
The Ewallet program was launched in 2012 to increase the productivity of farmers across the country through increased use of fertilizer. In Rivers State, registered farmers with Fadama have received seedlings and fertilizer in 3 local government areas. Although registration of farmers is ongoing in all wards in the local government areas.
Our Fadama farmers benefited from this project when it was launched sometime last year.
In Akwa Ibom State, 7,000 farmers have so far benefited from the Ewallet fertilizer distribution system, against the 93,000 farmers who registered for the first phase of the scheme.
Fertilizers are being supplied directly by the supplier to the agro dealers in the state.
I got those text messages, but today I've not even seen 1 cup of fertilizer.
In Cross River State, about 5,000 farmers have received farm input packages, but there is a challenge of illiteracy lack of phones and poor telecom network. To surmount this, the State Ministry of Agriculture has adopted voucher card to enable farmers get their farm input package.
We still need to work hard to make it work.
At the start of the scheme in Bayelsa State, only 10 agro dealers were licensed, but the figure has risen to 32 in line with the 8 local government structure. Farmers got 2 bags of fertilizer each after due registration with the federal and state ministries of agriculture.
Farmers now is trying to be aware of what is going on.
In Port Harcourt, Karina Igoniko, NTA News.
The full implementation of the Ewallet system of fertilizer distribution in the southeast is marked by lots of inadequacies in the system. Amaka Noema has details of this report.
In Enugu State, the Ewallet system of fertilizer distribution is not working effectively due to challenges in registration of farmers.
Normally challenges with this kind of operation, challenges about network connectivity, transportation of fertilizers.
The Enugu State Chairman of All Farmers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Alfred Ene, said the distribution of only 2 bags of fertilizer to each farmer will not bring the desired change in the farming sector.
When by the time they will now start to share, most of the farmers, most of their farm places, they have finished what they are doing.
In Ebonyi State, there are still noticeable bottlenecks in the implementation of Ewallet system of input distribution to farmers. Since its introduction, the scheme has encountered several challenges that threatens its implementation.
The Ewallet system, you are expected to receive an alert on your phone, and based on that alert, you will go to the redemption center.
Farmers also said that Ewallet system has not gotten to the appreciable level in the state due to its method of implementation. Farmers in Imo State are not patronizing the federal government's Ewallet system of fertilizer distribution. This is because the state government provides enough fertilizer at subsidized rate for farmers. In Enugu, Amaka Onoima, NTA News.
The Ewallet fertilizer distribution method has recorded relative success in Kaduna, but not without some challenges such as delay in supply and communication problems. Correspondent Austin Anyabe is our guide.
The scheme introduced last year, which aimed at eliminating middlemen from the chain of fertilizer distribution, was initially treated with skepticism from the stakeholders. But with the successful distribution of the commodity to 5 million farmers across the country last year, people are now enthusiastic about the scheme. Kaduna State got 15 metric tons of the commodity distributed to 120,736 farmers using the current distribution modality.
The individual must go there as a person with his tax and then redeemed these farm inputs.
As anticipated, there were some hitches, some on the part of beneficiaries who have no communication mobile handsets, while there was also the problem of network service provider, as well as the distance of redemption centers, leaving the bulk of the job to be done by village heads.
I don't register, I want to register. Okay. Inshallah. They give me 2 bags last year.
Challenges came by way of getting the fertilizer late, informing those who were registered was not easy.
Even though the federal government has planned to double the number of beneficiaries this year, the worry is a delay in the flag off.
By December of last year, all the government warehouses, the ADPs, the cooperative societies should have fertilizers in stock. By now, farmers have gotten their fertilizers. They are just waiting for rain, plant.
Being a major input to farming, and with 60% of people in the state engaged in farming, stakeholders decry the 2 bags of the commodity made available to farmers.
2 bags of fertilizer cannot do for a quarter of a hectare.
The essence of the scheme is to support small-scale farmers in the country. In Kaduna, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
And farmers in Sokoto State say the electronic wallet system of fertilizer distribution can only work if it is properly implemented, as Mohammed Nasir reports.
The Ewallet e-wallet system of farm input distribution introduced by the federal government is said to be one of the most effective ways of reaching the real farmers with government subsidy and better delivery of farm inputs. 1 year after its introduction, the program was implemented in Sokoto State in 2 phases. The first phase, according to the officials, was during the last year's rainy season farming, where over 111,000 farmers were registered and 59,700 benefited with fertilizer. The second phase was during this year's dry season, where over 47,000 paddy rice farmers got registered and 27,184 benefited with fertilizer and rice seeds. Some farmers say they were met in their farmlands and registered but could not access any farm input.
I received the text, but I didn't see fertilizer.
The Director Agricultural Transformation Agenda in Sokoto State, Dr. Jibril Audu, NSC, attributed the problem to the late commencement of the program in the state, especially the second phase.
Once registered, have become a regular beneficiary. Those who did not benefit last year, they can come forward and get fertilizer.
One of the objectives of the program is to check the activities of middlemen who often deny genuine farmers access to government farm inputs. Has the objective been achieved in Sokoto State?
Not really. To some certain extent, it has been achieved. But we are also saddled with another problem where the agro dealers themselves come back and repurchase the fertilizer from those who are supposed to have benefit from it.
The farmers therefore call for review of the system to make it more effective and result-oriented. In Sokoto, Muhammad Nasir, NTA News.
Farmers in Lagos have complained of irregular timing of fertilizer distribution. This impediment, they say, is a major challenge to the overall production of food crops in the state. Doing Deer has the report.
To develop to its maximum capacity, not only does fertilizer guarantees growth in plants, it also protects the plant from pests and also ensure healthy crops. As part of its efforts to meet the Millennium Development Goals and guide against the global food insecurity, the federal government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, recently launched the Ewallet fertilizer distribution system, an approach to counter the bureaucratic bottleneck and facilitate effective distribution of fertilizer to farmers. The initiative, as expressed by farmers who are the end users, is commendable. But the impact, according to some farmers in Lagos, is yet to be maximized.
The input actually got to us in the mid of the planting period, as in it was late before it got to the southwest. So there should always be cognizance of the time, because the time differs. When it is needed here is different from when it will be needed in the north.
Transportation. If the government can be doing that, taking it to various farms, I think we're okay.
Improve more in supplying the machinery, fertilizer to the farmers.
As government continues to improve on the approach to ensure adequate food security for its citizenry, the consensus of stakeholders is for government to beef up the distribution networks, taking into consideration cultivation season applicable to various regions of the country. From Lagos, Doing Dia, NT News.